All right, welcome back. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller with you tonight. And Chris, one thing we talked about with the suspension for Deshaun Watson, if it was 6 games, he would miss the Steelers games originally, but he would be back for the 2 games against the Bengals and the Ravens. However, if he does go through and they file an injunction or ends up in court, he's going to be able to play. That changes a lot of what happens here. So it's kind of hard to get a read. And I say this because I was looking at some FanDuel stuff here about what or any of these websites would have. How do you gauge how Cleveland is going to be if you don't know who's going to be the quarterback almost week to week?
So if I'm one of those sites, if I'm running one, I'm still not putting a season win total out there for betting consumption. It's just too much of a wild card. You might get people that get suckered in and believe he's somehow going to win out in the end here, like Browns fans, but I wouldn't go anywhere near it because his presence or lack thereof is just a wildly variable thing, and it has probably a 5 or 6 win potential impact on that team. Honestly, if you were to play a full season versus not at all, it's probably the difference between a 6-win team and an 11-win team. Frankly, with the roster that they've got around him.
So I still think the Ravens are the team I would look at in this division. Even though I think Cincinnati's very talented, I have a feeling it's one of those, okay, in year 2 they step back a little bit. I thought they went a lot farther, quicker than I had anticipated. Do you see a step back for them, or how do you analyze the AFC Central?
I mean, they're not being run like the Keystone Cops anymore, Bob, because they actually went out and said, oh, we need line help, and then they got it for Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is a top 3 to 5 quarterback already, and he's the best in the division. He's better than Watson. So I think that any step back might be a little bit overrated for them. Here's the reason why I agree with you on Baltimore, though. What, they have 19 or 20 or 22 guys on IR last year, and Jackson got hurt. Yeah, and it's Jackson too. And I know in this town people don't believe in Jackson, but guess what? They're 37-12 in games he starts, and they were still 7-5 and looking like a playoff team before he got hurt last year. They were 1-4 in the games he didn't start. So I would say the Ravens narrowly over the Bengals right now would be my favorite for the division.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And still no word on Lamar Jackson, what happens to him. For me, I thought he'd get a deal done, and I still do think he'll get something done. What if he doesn't? What happens, do you think?
If he doesn't, and then he just plays and is great again, I think the Ravens come back to the table and just say, here, what do you want, man? Name your price. Like if he wins 12, 13 games, gets them to like the AFC title game, they would be crazy not to. And he can still get better as a passer. I still believe that there's more in there, and he's got the time to work on it still because the legs buy him that opportunity. If Kyler Murray gets $160 million guaranteed, Lamar Jackson should say, hey, start with like maybe doubling that, and then we'll talk, because he's a way better quarterback than Kyler Murray. That was a ridiculous deal.
Well, the fact that there's $230 guaranteed to the guy in Cleveland, I think would look. He's got to look at all of that and say, okay, what are we talking about, especially if it's a good year. Out of time, Chris, thanks very much as always. See and hear Chris tomorrow on 93.7 The Fan, 2 to 6 with Andrew Filipponi. We'll be back here tomorrow night, 10:35 same time. We appreciate it. We'll see you later. Good night.